I wake up at 5:42 every morning. Not because I need to, and not because anyone expects me to be anywhere. It's just how my body remembers work. 41 years of alarms don't disappear just because your wife dies and the company gives you a plaque and a handshake. The kettle goes on first. Stainless steel, scarred at the bottom. Whistling louder than necessary. One mug, blue, chip near the handle. Coffee not too strong. I still buy the same brand Helen liked. $8 more than the generic, and worth every cent for the memory alone. The apartment is quiet in the way only rented places are. Beige walls. Cheap carpet that smells faintly of detergent and old shoes. A small table by the window where the morning light hits, just right at this time of year. March. Cold but honest. I sit down with my notebook. Not a journal. A ledger. I've always written things down. Income on the left. Expenses on the right. Dates, amounts, notes in the margins. My pension comes in on the third Wednesday of every month. $3,420.17 after taxes. It's not a fortune, but it's clean money. Earned slowly. Like bone. Utilities. $118 last month. Higher than usual. Groceries. $312. I still know how to stretch a chicken for 3 meals. Rent. $1,050. Medications. $94.20. The inhaler went up again. Everything goes up except respect. At the bottom of the page, I pause. There it is again. Family account transfer, $2,300. Dated February 9th, authorized. I don't write anything next to it. I just draw a small line and stare. My son, Daniel, set that account up 2 years ago, after Helen's funeral. He said it would make things easier. Automatic payments. Shared access. Less stress for me. You shouldn't have to worry about this stuff anymore, Dad, he said, standing in my kitchen, leaning against the counter like he owned it. Let me help. Help is a flexible word. At first, it really was help. He paid my electric bill once when I forgot. Set reminders on my phone. Printed my bank statements because online stuff can be confusing. I didn't argue. Grief makes you tired in places you didn't know existed. The first transfer was small, $400, then $700, always with a note. Mortgage buffer, short-term family expense, just until next month. Next month never came. I flipped back a few pages in the ledger. January, December, November. The numbers repeat themselves like a bad habit. $1,800, $2,450, $3,100. Over 11 months, it adds up to $28,740. I circle the total once, then twice. Outside, a garbage truck backs up with a long mechanical groan. Somewhere down the hall, a neighbor's television clicks on. Morning television, too loud, too cheerful. Daniel called last night. Hey, Dad, everything okay? Yes, I said. Everything's fine. He always asks like that. Not how are you? Just everything okay? Like a system check. You sound tired. I am tired. Well, you should get some rest. We've got a lot going on over here. Kids' tuition repairs. You know how it is? I do know how it is. I know exactly how it is. Last Thanksgiving, I went to their house. Big place. For bedrooms. 2 cars in the driveway. A new one I didn't recognize, black SUV. Still smelled like the dealership. Daniel's wife, Marissa, hugged me with one arm while checking something on her phone. Sorry about the mess, she said, gesturing at a spotless kitchen. Renovation brain. I noticed the marble countertops, the wine fridge, the refrigerator with a screen on the door that showed the weather. At dinner, their youngest complained that the turkey was dry. I ate slowly, counted bites, old habits. After dessert, Daniel pulled me aside. Hey, Dad, he said quietly. Just so you know, things are a little tight this month. We might need to borrow a bit more from the family account. Borrow? Of course, I said. Whatever you need. He smiled. Relief, gratitude, or something that looked like it. Back in my apartment, the kettle clicks off. I pour the coffee. Careful not to spill. My hands are steady. They always are. I open my bank app. The balance refreshes. $612.84. I sit there for a long time, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the distant traffic, the soft ticking of a clock Helen bought at a flea market in '98 because she liked the sound it made. I pick up the pen again. Next to the February 9th transfer. I finally write something. Ask. Just that. Not accuse. Not demand. Ask. Because for a long time, I believed this was still a misunderstanding. And misunderstandings, I thought, could be cleared up with a conversation. I was wrong about many things, but not yet. If you believe older voices still matter, support this channel with a like and a subscription. The bank branch is 3 blocks from my apartment, tucked between a nail salon and a pharmacy that smells like disinfectant and old perfume. I don't need to go in person. I know that. Daniel has told me that many times. You can do everything online now, Dad. But there's some things I still prefer to do with chairs, counters, and people who have to look at you while they explain how your money disappeared. The automatic doors open with a sigh. Inside, it's warm and softly humming, like a place designed to make you forget time exists. I take a number from the dispenser. B17. I sit. Vinyl chair. Slight tear on the armrest. Someone has tried to fix it with tape and failed. On the wall, a television runs a loop about retirement planning. Smiling, gray-haired couples walking on beaches I've never been to. When my number's called, I stand too quickly and feel it in my knee. The left one. Always the left. The woman at the desk is young. Early 30s, maybe. Neat bun. Name tag says Rachel. How can I help you today, Mr. Collins? I slide my notebook across the desk. I don't open it. I just rest my hand on the cover. I'd like a full printout of my account activity for the last 18 months. She nods. Types. The keyboard clicks are fast and confident. Is there a particular transaction you're concerned about? Yes, I say. Several. The printer behind her comes alive. Page after page. She stacks them neatly. Taps the edges against the desk to align them. I appreciate that. Order matters. She points. These transfers here, those are all authorized withdrawals from a linked family account. Your son has power of attorney. I look at the word on the page. Authorized. Big letters. Comfortable letters. Letters that absolve everyone in the room except me. I don't remember authorizing this much, I say. Rachel tilts her head slightly. Professional concern. Rehearsed. The authorization allows indiscretion for household and family-related expenses. Household. Family-related. I flip through the pages slowly. Dates jump out at me now that I see them all together. June 3rd, $5,200. July 14th, $8,950. September 2nd, $12,400. My throat tightens. I don't say anything yet. Rachel clears her throat. There was also a lump sum payment in October. $26,000. I stop turning pages. That one, I say. What was that for? She checks the screen. Mortgage, principal reduction. I blink. My mortgage was paid off in 2009. She looks at me, then back at the screen. This wasn't your mortgage, sir. The room feels smaller, suddenly, like the air has been portioned out and I'm using more than my share. That was for your son's residence, according to the memo. Residence. I laugh. It comes out dry and sharp like a bark. Rachel stiffens, unsure how to respond. I see, I say finally. She hesitates, lowers her voice. If you feel this access is no longer appropriate, we can discuss revoking it. I nod, slowly. Not today, I say. I just needed to understand. She prints one more page and slides it toward me. This is the total. At the bottom, bolded, $67,380. My pension for nearly 20 months. Done. I thank her. I mean it. She didn't do anything wrong. She hands me a brochure about fraud prevention. The irony is clean enough to cut. Outside, the air is colder than it should be for March. I walk home slowly, stopping once to rest my knee, pretending to read a menu posted in a restaurant window. At home, I lay the papers out on the table, line them up, dates, amounts, patterns, new appliances, private school tuition, airline tickets, first class, judging by the price, $14,600, international airfare. I check the date, late August. I remember that week. Daniel had called. Hey, Dad, quick question. Do you still have that old passport? Yes. Good. Just wondering. They went to Italy. Marissa posted pictures, wine glasses, sunsets, a caption that read, "Family is everything." I sit down heavily. At 6 that evening, the phone rings. "Daniel?" I answer on the fourth ring. "Dad." "Yes." "Everything okay?" There it is again. "I went to the bank today." A pause. Not long, but noticeable. Like a breath taken before lifting something heavy. "Why?" "I wanted to understand the transfers." Another pause. This one longer. "Dad, we've talked about this. You said we could use the account for family needs." "I did," I say. "I didn't say you could drain it." His tone shifts. Defensive now. Annoyed. "Drain? That's not fair. We're talking about investments. Assets. I've been managing things responsibly." "Responsibly," I repeat. "Yes. You're living modestly. You don't need that much liquidity just sitting there." "Liquidity. I have $612 in my account," I say. Silence. "That's temporary," he says quickly. "I was going to move money back next quarter." "After the mortgage?" "After the flights." "You don't understand how expensive it is to raise a family now," he snaps. "You had it easier." I close my eyes. "I raised you alone for 10 years after your mother died." "That's not what I meant." "No," I say, "but it's what you said." Marissa's voice cuts in, distant but sharp. "Who are you talking to?" "My dad." A muffled exchange. Then Daniel again. "Look, let's not make this a thing. You're taken care of. We're taken care of. Everyone benefits." "Not everyone," I say. He exhales loudly. "You're being emotional." There it is. The final conversion. From father to problem. "I'll call you later," he says. "We're busy." The line goes dead. I sit there with the phone in my hand, listening to the ticking clock. Then I open my notebook again. On a fresh page, I write a date at the top. March 18th. Under it, I write a single word. Authorized. And beneath that, carefully, deliberately. So, I don't sleep much after that conversation. Not in the dramatic way people imagine. No staring at the ceiling. No racing heart. I sleep the way old men sleep when something has gone wrong. In pieces. 20 minutes here, 40 there. Waking up to check the time, the door, the numbers in my head. At 6:11 a.m., I give up. Toast burns while I'm not looking. I scrape it anyway. Waste bothers me more now than hunger. The radio mutters about traffic and interest rates. I turn off. At 9:02, the phone rings. Daniel again. I let it ring twice longer than necessary. Petty. I know, but I've earned some pettiness. "Dad," he says too brightly. "I've been thinking. We should talk in person." "We are talking," I say. "No, I mean really talk. Face to face. At the bank. That way everything's clear." "Of course." Neutral ground. Witnesses. Fluorescent lights and polite voices. "What time?" I ask. "Noon." "Fine." I put on my good jacket. The one Helen bought me after my retirement dinner. Navy wool. Slight shine at the elbows. I still keep a handkerchief in the pocket, even though no one expects men to have those anymore. The bank looks different at noon. Busier. More noise. More confidence. Daniel is already there when I arrive. Marissa is with him. Sunglasses on indoors, perched in her hair like a crown. She doesn't hug me, just nods. "Dad." Daniel says, standing. "Thanks for coming." We sit in a small glass office. Rachel is not there. Someone older this time. Mr. Harlan, according to the plaque. Gray suit. Careful smile. "How can I help?" he asks. Daniel answers before I can. "We're here to clarify some confusion about my father's account." Confusion. Another comfortable word. Mr. Harlan nods and turns to me. "Mr. Collins? I'd like to revoke my son's power of attorney," I say. Marissa's head snaps toward me. "What?" she says. Not softly. Daniel raises a hand. "Dad." "I'd also like to understand," I continue, "why over $67,000 was transferred from my pension to cover expenses unrelated to my care." Mr. Harlan doesn't look surprised. That tells me something. He folds his hands. "Mr. Collins, the authorization your son holds is broad. Legally speaking, the transactions were permissible." "Legally," I say. "Yes." Daniel leans forward now. Earnest. Reasonable. He's always been good at that. "Dad, no one stole from you. This is family money. We used it to stabilize our household. That benefits you too. How? I ask. You don't have to worry about us, Marissa says sharply. We're not coming to you asking for help. I look at her. Really look. Her watch alone could pay my rent for 3 months. I wasn't worried about you, I say. I was worried about eating. There it is. The crack. Daniel sighs. This is exactly what I mean. You're catastrophizing. You've always done that. Always. Since when? Mr. Harlan clears his throat. Perhaps we should review the account activity together. He turns the screen so we can all see it. Dates scroll by. Amounts. Notes. Daniel narrates. This was for the roof. That was tuition. This was airfare. We had to travel for work. For work, I repeat. Yes. Rome, I say. Florence. Amalfi. Marissa flushes. That was a business development trip. I nod. Expensive business. Daniel's jaw tightens. Dad, you're tired. You don't understand how these things work anymore. Something in me hardens then. Not anger. Clarity. I understand numbers, I say. They still work the same. Silence. Mr. Harlan looks uncomfortable now. Mr. Collins, he says carefully. If you feel these expenditures were not in your best interest, there are procedures. I want them reviewed, I say, formally. Daniel laughs once. Short. Disbelieving. Reviewed by who? By the bank, I say. And if necessary, by the court. Marissa stands. This is unbelievable, she says. After everything we do for you. What do you do for me? I ask. She opens her mouth. Closes it. Daniel rubs his temples. You're really going to do this? Over money? Yes, I say. Because it was never just money. It was permission. Mr. Harlan nods, slowly. In that case, he says, we'll need to initiate an internal review and temporarily freeze discretionary transfers. Freeze. Daniel looks up sharply. You can't be serious. I'm very serious, Mr. Harlan says. Given the amounts involved, compliance requires it. How long? Marissa demands. 30 to 60 days, he says. Possibly longer. Daniel turns to me. You're cutting us off. I'm stopping the bleeding, I say. He stands so fast his chair scrapes loudly against the floor. This is betrayal, he says. You're choosing money over your own son. I stand too. My knee screams. I ignore it. No, I say. I'm choosing myself. You already chose. People are looking now. Through the glass. At us. Good. Marissa grabs her purse. Let's go, she snaps. Daniel hesitates. For a moment, I think he might say something real. Something human. He doesn't. This isn't over, he says. No, I reply. They leave. The door closes softly behind them. Like the bank itself disapproves of drama. Mr. Harlan exhales. I'm sorry it came to this, he says. So am I answer. And I mean it. Outside, the sun is too bright. My phone buzzes almost immediately. A text from Daniel. You're going to regret this. I look at it. Then I put the phone in my pocket. Back home, I open my notebook. Under today's date, I write, review initiated. Then, after a pause, I add one more line. First honest conversation in years. It costs more than money, but it pays better. The letter from the bank arrives 3 days later. Cream-colored envelope. Heavy paper. My name typed, not printed. That alone tells me it matters. Institutions only type names when they expect you to keep the letter. I don't open it right away. I make lunch first. Soup from a can, chicken noodle, low sodium. I add pepper because otherwise it tastes like regret. I sit at the small table by the window and eat slowly, watching a man across the street struggle with a mattress that's clearly too big for his car. We all misjudge capacity sometimes. When I finally open the envelope, I do it carefully, slicing the top with a letter opener Helen gave me for our 20th anniversary. Silver. Dull now. Still sharp. Notice of internal financial review. Formal. Bloodless. Reassuring in the way only procedures can be. They list dates, amounts, categories. They use words like discretionary, fiduciary duty, potential misalignment of interest. No accusations. No emotions. Just facts arranged in a way that suggests facts are enough. At the bottom, a sentence is underlined. You may wish to seek independent legal counsel. I read that line 3 times. Then I put the letter next to my notebook and turn the page. I haven't called a lawyer in my life. I fixed my own plumbing, filed my own taxes, raised my son without advice. But there's a time when stubbornness stops being virtue and starts being laziness. That afternoon, I called the number Rachel discreetly wrote on the back of her business card. Ellen Price. A woman answers. Calm voice. Clear. No rushing. I tell her the short version. Pension. Son. Power of attorney. $67,000. She doesn't interrupt. When I finish, she says, I'll need documents. I have them. I assumed you would. Her office is on the 4th floor of a brick building downtown that used to house an insurance company. The elevator is slow. The carpet smells like old paper and coffee. Ellen Price is in her late 50s. Gray hair, cut short. No jewelry except a wedding band that's worn smooth. Her desk is clean in the way desks are clean when the person behind them is dangerous. She reads everything. Doesn't skim. Doesn't sigh. She makes notes in pencil. Finally, she looks up. Your son exceeded reasonable interpretation of his fiduciary role, she says. So he stole, I say. She considers. Yes, she says. But we'll let the court choose the word. I like her. She explains options. Civil action. Restitution. Possible criminal referral if the bank escalates. Timelines. Costs. How much? I ask. Retainers, $5,000. I nod. Fine. She pauses. You understand this may permanently damage your relationship with your son. I think of Daniel's text. You're going to regret this. My relationship with my son was damaged long before you, I say. She nods. No pity. Good. The next weeks are full in a way my life hasn't been since Helen was sick. Appointments, calls, emails printed and placed in folders. Paper has a memory. Better than people. I find things I didn't know I'd kept. Old emails from Daniel explaining transfers. Casual, confident, incriminating. We'll just move it around for a bit. Don't worry, Dad. It's all staying in the family. I highlight those lines. The bank freezes the account officially. Daniel calls twice. I don't answer. Marissa leaves a voicemail. Long angry. She says my name like it tastes bad. I delete it. One morning, a courier delivers a thick envelope. My hand shakes slightly as I sign. Inside is a copy of the formal demand letter Ellen has sent on my behalf. Demand for restitution. $67,380. Deadline, 14 days. Seeing the number printed like that, black ink centered, unavoidable, does something to me. It turns the pain into weight. Solid, liftable. That evening, I go through my apartment and make small improvements. I tighten a loose hinge, replace a burnt-out bulb, clean the radio with a soft cloth. Control returns in pieces. On day 11, Daniel shows up at my door. No call, no warning. I open it because I'm tired of pretending he doesn't exist. He looks worse than I expected. Unshaven, tie loosened, anger poorly contained. What the hell is this, he says, waving the demand letter. This, I say, is the bill. You're suing me. I'm asking for my money back. You're humiliating us. I step aside. Let him in. He hesitates, then enters like a stranger. The apartment looks smaller with him in it. Always did. We used that money, he says. It's gone. I know, I say. I saw the pictures. He swallows. You can't get blood from a stone. I'm not asking for blood, I say. I'm asking for accountability. He laughs bitterly. You think this makes you strong? No, I say. It makes me finished. Finished with what? With being useful to people who don't see me. Silence. You raised me better than this, he says finally. Yes, I reply. That's why I'm disappointed. He leaves without another word. For days later, Ellen calls. They want to negotiate, she says. Good, I answer. Outside, the leaves are starting to turn. Not much. Just enough to notice. Change doesn't announce itself. It documents itself. And the record is finally being corrected. The negotiation meeting is scheduled for a Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. That detail matters to me. Tuesday means no weekend emotions carried over. No Monday panic. Just numbers, people in suits, and clocks that work. Ellen and I arrive early. She always does. I bring the notebook. Habit. She doesn't comment on it. but I see her glance at it once, approvingly, like a doctor noticing a patient who actually followed instructions. Daniel and Marissa arrive together, but sit apart. That tells me everything I need to know. The conference room is windowless. Long table. Bottled water no one drinks. A speakerphone in the center like a blunt object. 2 representatives from a bank. 1 from their legal department. 1 neutral mediator whose job is to look calm while everyone else pretend to be. Daniel won't look at me. Marissa keeps checking her phone. She's wearing a tailored jacket that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. The irony is not subtle. The mediator begins. We're here to discuss the restitution claim filed by Mr. Collins regarding misuse of fiduciary authority. Misuse. Such a polite word for what it takes from you. Ellen slides copies of the documents across the table. Emails. Statements. The authorization agreement with highlighted sections. She speaks quietly, clearly. The funds in question were transferred without necessity, transparency, or benefit to my client. Many were used for discretionary luxury expenses. The bank's lawyer nods. He's seen this before. Daniel finally speaks. We never intended harm, he says. This was a family arrangement. Family arrangements don't override fiduciary duty, Ellen replies. Marissa laughs under her breath. Easy for you to say, she mutters. You're not the one with 3 kids and a mortgage. I look at her. You're not the one choosing between rent and medication, I say. The room goes quiet. The mediator clears his throat. Let's focus on resolution. They offer $40,000. It's insulting. They know it. I know it. Ellen doesn't even look at me. No, she says. Daniel leans forward now. Desperate. We don't have $67,000, he says. You know that. You had it, I reply. You spent it. Marissa's face hardens. So what? You want us to sell the house? Pull the kids out of school. I consider that. Honestly, I want you to feel the weight, I say. Just some of it. Silence again. The bank representative finally speaks. There is also an ongoing internal compliance review. Depending on its findings, further action may be required. Marissa stiffens. What kind of action? Account audits. Credit review. Possible referral. Her phone slips from her hand and hits the table with a sharp sound. Daniel turns to me. You did this, he says quietly. No, I answer. I documented it. The meeting adjourns without resolution. Outside, Ellen exhales slowly. They'll come back, she says. Pressure is building. She's right. 2 days later, the pressure arrives in an envelope. Notice of temporary credit hold. Pending financial review. Daniel calls that night. Over and over. I don't answer. The next morning, a mutual acquaintance from church leaves a message. Daniel says you're ruining his life. I delete it. By Friday, Ellen calls again. They're agreeing to full restitution, she says. Structured. 36 months. I close my eyes. And, she continues, the bank has completed its review. I wait. They referred the matter to their oversight committee. Daniel's professional accounts are now under review as well. I feel something then. Not joy. Relief. The settlement meeting is brief. Quiet. Papers signed. Numbers agreed upon. Daniel doesn't speak to me. Marissa doesn't look at me. I don't need them to. 3 weeks later, the first payment hits my account. $1,872. It's not the amount. It's the description. Restitution payment, court mandated. I stare at it for a long time. Then I open my notebook and write it down. That evening, I go to the grocery store and buy salmon instead of chicken. Fresh. On sale, but still a choice. I cook it with lemon and butter. Eat it slowly. I don't feel rich. I feel square. Later that night, I get one last text from Daniel. I hope this was worth it. I type back once. So do I? Outside, a neighbor laughs on the phone. Somewhere a car alarm goes off and is ignored. Life continues at its normal volume. Mine has changed its tone. The review is still ongoing. Consequences ripple outward in ways I don't track anymore. That's their ledger now. I've balanced mine, and for the first time since Helen died, the numbers finally add up to something like peace. The second payment arrives on a Thursday. Same amount, same wording, same quiet authority. I don't rush to write it down this time. I let it sit there in the account like a fact that no longer needs to be proven. Spring finishes its work sometime in April. I notice because the mornings change first. Light comes in earlier, softer, landing on the table instead of cutting across it. The kettle sounds different in warmer air. Less angry. I walk more now, slowly but farther. Past the bank, past the pharmacy. Down streets I ignored for years because they didn't lead anywhere useful. I've learned that usefulness is not the same as value. One afternoon, I stop in front of a travel agency window. They still exist, somehow. Posters of Greece, Alaska. Cruises with smiling couples leaning into each other like they've never been disappointed. Helen and I used to talk about Alaska. Never went. Always something else to pay for. Something more immediate. I stand there longer than necessary. Then move on. The bank sends a final letter in early May. Review concluded. They don't apologize. Institutions rarely do. But the language is clear enough. Oversight findings. Breach of fiduciary duty. Internal corrective measures. Daniel's name appears twice. That's enough. Ellen calls later that day. Final restitution will complete in 32 months instead of 36, she says. They refinanced. Good, I say. You sound calm. I am. She hesitates. You know you didn't have to go this far to be right. I didn't go this far to be right, I say. I went this far to stop. We say goodbye. I don't expect to hear from her again. Some people are for seasons, not stories. On a Sunday in June, I go to the cemetery. Helen's stone is simple. She would have liked that. I bring fresh flowers. Not roses. She hated roses. Something yellow. I sit on the bench and tell her everything. The money, the betrayal, the paperwork, the ending. I didn't raise him wrong, I say out loud. But I didn't protect myself either. The wind moves through the trees. No answers. Never any answers. That's fine. Later that week, Daniel emails me. An email, not a call. That matters too. It's long, careful, written late at night, judging by the timestamp. He apologizes without using the word apology. He explains pressure, fear, mistakes. He says Marissa is furious. He says the kids don't understand why things changed. He says his credit is damaged, his reputation strained. He doesn't ask for forgiveness. He asks if we can reset. I read it twice. Then I close the laptop. Reset is what computers do when something goes wrong. People don't reset. They continue differently. I write back the next morning. I hope you learn from this. I have. That's all. The payments continue. My balance grows slowly, respectably. I don't touch most of it. I don't need to. I needed proof more than comfort. I replace my shoes. Old ones were hurting my feet. I buy a better chair for the table. Something with support. I stop apologizing to myself for small upgrades. In August, I book a trip. Not Italy, not Alaska. 3 days by the coast. A small one, off-season pricing. A room with a window that opens. I sit by the water and read a paperback. I eat clam chowder. I sleep deeply without alarms. On the last morning, I check my account out of habit. Another restitution payment. I smile. Just once. Back home, I update the ledger. I still keep it. Not because I'm afraid anymore, but because remembering matters. On the final page, after the columns and totals, I write something that isn't a number. Dignity is not inherited. It is maintained. I close the notebook. The apartment is quiet again, but it's a different quiet now. Chosen. Earned. I turn off the light. Stand by the window for a moment. Watch the street. I gave my son my trust once. This time, I kept the receipt.